Tom, you study the al-Qaeda, the movements, the terrorist movements all across the country, all across the world. What do you think is the next phase here for the Taliban?
Well, I think the bottom line is, just as Steve said, I think people have really misunderstood the Taliban-al-Qaeda relationship for 20 years now. In fact, I think one of the great debacles in all of this, one of the great errors, is that the U.S. hasn't even understood who it was really fighting. I help run a website called Long War Journal. We've produced an encyclopedia of facts on the al-Qaeda-Taliban relationship going back many, many years now. And this is a victory not just for the Taliban, this is a victory for al-Qaeda. You know, al-Qaeda is going nuts right now on social media, launching news sites as we speak, declaring victory, and releasing footage of their fighting in the Taliban takeover. We have many pieces of evidence from al-Qaeda of their operations in Afghanistan over the last year. In fact, they put out a newsletter every week called Thabat, which apparently we're the only ones that are reading, because they were actually talking about their march to take Kabul over. So the bottom line here is that the U.S. never really understood who was fighting. We heard President Biden this week say that al-Qaeda was severely degraded in Afghanistan. You can go back through the sordid history of all this and find similar phrases used by American officials for more than a decade. They said over and over again that al-Qaeda was degraded, decimated, defeated, on the path to defeat, a form of its shadow itself. They said this so often that they never actually got around to defeating al-Qaeda. So the bottom line here is that this is a stunning example of American incompetence, and it is absolutely a victory for al-Qaeda.
Yeah, Tom, if you were able to, if we could rewind the decision of time over the past week or so. If you were to fast forward 3 months from now, Tom, would it have been any different if the withdrawal and the security of those that really belong to us had been taken care of first? Would it be different, or would there still be this celebration that you described?
Well, the only thing that would have been different at this point would have been the evacuation could have been done differently. I mean, people like us were saying that what the U.S. should have done was hold on to Bagram until the very last second. And the last American turns out the lights in Bagram, not in Kabul. You don't try and evacuate thousands and thousands of Americans and potentially Afghans through a civilian city of 4.5 million people, plus God knows how many refugees. I mean, the incompetence here by the U.S. military leadership and the Biden administration when it comes to just evacuating Afghanistan is, unfortunately, isn't over. We're still watching it. But, you know, to my mind, it's consistent with the incompetence we've witnessed for years. This is incompetence that goes across administrations in losing a war to an enemy they never understood.